Fun-loving and the most beautiful boy. That's how the mother of 19-year-old Harry Dunn described her son. Now she says her family have been left broken by his death, and she's worried they'll never get justice. According to a family spokesman, Harry, a keen motorcyclist, was killed after being hit by a car travelling on the wrong side of the road. It's emerged that the car had just exited RAF Croughton, site of a US communications base in Northamptonshire. The main suspect, the wife of an American diplomat, initially cooperated with police and told them she had no plans to leave the country. But she's covered by diplomatic immunity, which allows diplomats and their family members working overseas protection from prosecution in their host country. For serious breaches, it can be waived. The police applied for that waiver, but the family has now left the UK to the frustration of the British government.
The Foreign Secretary has spoken to the American ambassador and made clear our disappointment that the woman involved in this incident has left the UK using diplomatic immunity.
Harry Dunn's family are hoping to meet with the Foreign Secretary this week. Northamptonshire police have said they're working through diplomatic channels to continue their investigation. And in a statement, the US Embassy said any questions regarding a waiver of immunity with regard to our diplomats and their family members overseas in a case like this receive intense attention at senior levels. Immunity is rarely waived. Well, just before we came on air, I spoke to Harry Dunn's mother, Charlotte Charles, and I asked her how she's been coping since her son's death.
We had a phone call about 9:15 in the evening from Harry's dad. He was at the crash scene on the 27th of August. It was pretty evident right from the off, with witnesses that had given statements at the crash scene that the American lady had pulled out of the RAF base on the wrong side of the road. She travelled 350 to 400 yards on the wrong side of the road, and Harry was the first person she met, unfortunately on the brow of a hill, so he had no chance of avoiding her. The hospital literally came to Harry at the roadside, the air ambulance crew. They done all they could to save him. They worked really hard on him. The following morning, the police went out to see the American female driver, asked her if she had any plans to leave the country, to which she answered no. We're under the belief that she and her family were to be here for 3 years. We have reason to believe that she'd enrolled the children into a local school and rented a local house. So they chose not to interview her that morning that they told her that she'd killed Harry the night before. We understand that Northants police then got informed a few hours later that she had diplomatic immunity. And we've been stuck from that point on.
What was your reaction when you found out she'd left the country?
We were just devastated, appalled, disgusted it could be allowed to happen. It's just not right, it's inhumane.
I understand the US ambassador sent you a letter expressing his sadness. What are your feelings about that letter?
That letter expresses condolences, but didn't arrive until it's dated the 17th of September. So almost 3 weeks after we'd lost Harry. Up until that point, we'd had nothing. No contact from the embassy, no contact from the RAF base, no contact from the MOD. We were literally just left. I think they were just hoping it was going to go away. that we were going to accept this diplomatic immunity and that we were just going to try and get on with our lives and grieve, but we can't.
Now, the Foreign Secretary has offered you a meeting. What would you like him to do?
If indeed she's covered by diplomatic immunity, we would like to ask for another waiver to be put in place. We believe our Northampton police tried that initially and it got declined. With Dominic Raab's help, we'd like another waiver to be placed. He seems to be on board. He's helping, from what we understand, all he can. He's agreed to meet us at some point this week. If that waiver gets declined, then we just hope that we can at least try to get some changes put in place to stop all of this happening again.
And I understand you're considering going to the US yourself if nothing moves here.
Absolutely, if we have to. Go to Washington as a family if we have to. Go to President Trump if we can, or if we have to. And we will do our absolute best to get changes adapted to this diplomatic immunity, because as we understand it, that diplomatic immunity is put in place to protect the diplomat.
Would you like the Foreign Secretary to take action like expelling a US diplomat to show Britain's displeasure at what's happened?
Absolutely. I think Dominic Raab is already expressing how the UK feel about what has happened. But as much disgust he could express would be welcomed. If we can't get justice from our own UK system, the least we can try and do is change what the diplomatic community covers so that this doesn't happen to another family again.
What is your message to this woman, if she's listening to this?
We have no idea whether she's remorseful. She must be suffering. She's a mum herself. We've got absolutely no inkling to any of that. We don't know her face. We can't picture anything apart from the crash scene, because that's all we have.
So far, she's not been named publicly. Would you like her to be named?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Surely someone must know her and urge her to come forward.
Charlotte Charles, the mother of Harry Dunn, with that very emotional appeal there.